Good morning, Shmuel. It's Sunday, and we're gonna take a little trip through the flowers. Tra-li-la-li-la. Lately, Lewis and I have been going on little trips to go see Israel, and I wanted to talk to you about some of the cooler flowers there are. Basically, last week we went on a trip with our friends Ilan and Amital, and Ilan happens to be getting a PhD in botany, so he talked all about the different types of cool flowers that there are. Unfortunately, at the time, it didn't occur to me to film any of them, so I don't actually have any of the coolest flowers on video. Or if I do, I don't know what they are because he's not here on this trip. But off we go anyway to talk about the cool flowers while looking at different flowers. Okay, I also don't remember the names of the flowers. But cool flower type number one. There is a flower that looks, I'm telling you, just like a bee's butt. Except it's black. But it looks like the back half of a bee that somebody stuck onto a flower, and it's hanging out there. And apparently, it also emits pheromones that look very much, or smell very much like a female bee. And in fact, the bees are attracted to these pheromones and believe that these flowers are female bees. So the male bee will come up, have sex with the flower, therefore getting the flower's pollen all over it, then will say, oh, I want to have more sex. We'll fly to a different flower and have sex with it, thereby spreading the pollen to the other flowers. How insane is that? Totally insane. This is a cool flower that is not that flower. Obviously, it doesn't look like a bee's butt. Off we go. The other really cool thing that I honestly thought was even cooler than the bee sex flower is not actually a flower. It's about animals. Here's a cute little animal. Yep, that's a scarab beetle. Oh, let's zoom in and get a closer look at him. Ooh, a scarab. Yeah, those are cool looking. They're kind of like the size of a cockroach, but not as scary for some reason. They're actually kind of cute. I've had one of those in my sneaker more than once, but they're pretty exotic for America, so we'll film them anyway, just to give you a good look. Anyway, moving right along. The animal I wanted to tell you about is a little tiny insect called an aphid. These are kind of like little black dot-sized bugs, and what they do is they go onto a tall flower. There's like hundreds of little aphids clinging onto this flower, and apparently they kind of suck the life force out of it, so they're like drinking the juice of the plant. But apparently the juice of the plant is really, really, really sugary, because that's what those plants use. So anyway, there's like a huge sugar overload, so much so that the aphids are, or should be, diabetic and not able to deal with all that sugar. So what do? They drink the liquid out of the plant, and then they secrete the sugary substance onto their little bodies. So basically they're covered in sugar syrup at all times. Now that makes them a very attractive treat, kind of like a lollipop, for ants. Ants come up and lick the aphids. Lick, lick. That's what the ants do, apparently. And in fact, I was totally shocked by this. The ants will actually farm the aphids. So they will set up little aphid nests, or whatever they're called, on the plants and watch over them and guard them, and then lick them. And yes, ants created a full-on agricultural society. Oh, look at that. There's a hose and a little pretty flower. Yeah, that one's called a pereg. It's a kind of poppy. Anyway, I think it's really cool that ants have agricultural society, and it makes me think about what it means to be human, because I've always thought that humans are the only animals that actually farm other animals. But no, apparently ants do it to these aphids. Sugary, yummy aphids. So that's a fun fact and makes you wonder what it means to be human. Which brings us to the final cool detail of any Israeli hiking trip, the old Jewish archaeology. Yes, this is the site of an ancient shul. But before we get to the shul, we're going to explore some of the other stuff that we don't know exactly what it is, but includes definitely some houses and stuff. Yes, the sign says that once upon a time, in the days of the second Beis Hamikdash, there was a town here, a Jewish town. It looks small to us, but, I guess it was large. Somebody's little cave there. And anyway, they apparently built a shul there, and that's what this is. And then they rebuilt it in the 2nd century CE, and then they rebuilt it again in the 4th century CE. And apparently the archaeologists can tell all of that by looking at the stones. Yep, Bruce is gonna go check out this cave now. Oh, he's gonna take a look at some flowers first. Ooh, what's gonna be in there? Anything interesting? Maybe. Lewis is looking brave. So, here's the cave where people used to live that were just like us, in some ways, many, many years ago. Or maybe they didn't live here, maybe this was just part of the show. Unclear. Sign doesn't really tell. Look at all that. Isn't that insane? There's another doorway there. You can see it on the right. No, it's not being shown. Anyway, it's really cool to think of all these old people living there. Yep, here we go, up to the top. Follow me. Doo-doo-doo. Let's go see what's in the rest of the shoal. There must be some cool stuff up there. Wonder what it's gonna be. And here's the lovely shoal itself. Yep, this is a typical thing that you find on a hike in Israel. Yep, that is pretty insane. Well, I'm pretty much out of things to say, but there's a lot of footage of this shoal that I took. Looking around. Oop, there's Lewis's arm. Anyway, Shmuel, I hope you're having a grand old week. Look at that pillar. Yep, that's an old pillar. That's like a couple of 1,000 years old. Wow. Yippers. Well, hope you're having a grand old time and enjoying this little video and having a grand old week. Well, see you on Sunday, Shmuel. Oh, I might as well give you the update here. I was going to make a very nice video for you that was not this video, and I still will, but it isn't happening yet. And it's perm themed, so it's going to be very out of season by the time it gets to you. And anyway, I guess that's all I have to say. No need to make this any longer. Have a wonderful Sunday, Shmuel.